All right, welcome. Star Wars Syndrome here, and today I'm going to be doing a little overview and a loading belt change on my Pioneer DVL-909. I recently acquired this from a good friend of mine, made the purchase, did some testing on it, did a whole tear down and clean of it off camera, but I did not have my loading belt in yet. I had a little bit of extended wait on that. And also, just really quickly, shout out to Laser Parts on eBay. Their eBay store is pretty darn good. They got a series of all kinds of different little belts and some other things, and also a lube and grease kit that you can buy as well, not only for Pioneer and other Laserdisc players, but I also recently did my little simple little Sony DVD player that I had in the closet. Just did it just to have some fun, just to kind of take up a little bit of time. And I tore that down, cleaned everything inside of it, and cleaned the belt that was in that, and did all the little things. And it's ready to go for another however many years to come. But that's neither here nor there. Anyway, I reached out to Laser Parts, the eBay store, and said, "Hey, I never really got the letter in. It's been past the 5 to 7 days, and I don't know if you guys had any tracking or anything like that." And they said, "Hey, this happens from time to time, but we're going to send you out another one." They gave me a tracking for a new one. They said if the original one comes in, then just keep this extra belt as a spare just in case. So customer service beyond, you know, beyond expectations from Laser Parts. So I highly recommend them for anybody looking to get into LaserDisc hobby, or you're cleaning or refurbishing your own player to the best of your ability. Laser Parts is the place to get get a lot of the belts and pickup pads and all that kind of stuff. And I just highly recommend them. Great customer service. I also bought a couple of belts and the lube kit, the oil and the lube kit from them as well when I did my CLD 980. And never had any problems with any of the stuff that I got. Both of the belts on that were great. There's a video on the channel where I kind of go over that and show a little bit of that. Pardon me. But I want to do a little overview on the Pioneer DVL-909. It is a DVD player and a Laserdisc player and CDs as well. It has great picture quality for what it is. I mean, you know, we're talking about analog composite video format here that's a little bit less resolution than DVD. So for what it is, it has a great picture quality. The sound quality has been great. I've been running digital PCM through the optical port to my Sony 790 AVR receiver, and it's been absolutely incredible watching all kinds of Laserdisc movies, and I got more on the way. I got about 5 or 6 different Laserdisc movies on the way. I just got done buying them, and they should be here within a week. So I got some more movies coming in. But I've really been enjoying the player. It's been really, really top-notch quality, no problems. I did tear it down and clean everything inside off camera when I got it in. I took off the original belt, cleaned all the little pulley gears and all that stuff for it, soaked that belt in some like really hot, borderline boiling water, cleaned it with alcohol, reinstalled it. I haven't had a problem, but there was a little bit of warpage on it. And I want to go ahead and do this as a preventative maintenance thing. And because I'm getting another belt coming in as a backup, well, I don't ever have to worry about the life of the belt on this particular player going out anytime soon. Should last me beyond years. Matter of fact, the other components in the Laserdisc player will probably go out before I go through those 2 loading belts. So I'm going to take you around the player here. I got a new tripod thing here. I don't know how I feel about it just yet, but let me go over the front panel here. I also have a remote coming in for this guy as well, and I'm looking forward to getting that in to have a little bit of ease of using it from a distance. But you can do everything that you need to do. Hey, I'm loving it, sir. Thank you so much. But you can do anything you need to do with the unit in terms of operation here on the front panel. There's two trays, one for DVD, and then the whole thing comes out for LaserDisc. You can also put CDs in there as well. I'm not sure about VCD. I'm not sure about that, but I know it does DVD, CD, and LaserDisc, and it plays fine. The picture quality is great. The sound's great. We're rocking Dolby Digital over here. We have simulated surround sound as well. There's an independent drawer here for CD and DVD, and then LaserDisc. You have your pause and play. So you can change the disc side, and you can stop it here. This is a little button that turns on and off the front panel here. If it bothers you, you can turn it off. And it is it's a dual laser system in this. So there's a laser pickup that's specifically for LaserDisc. And I think, if I'm correct, I think the LaserDisc laser also does CD. You would think that it would be the DVD laser to do CD, but I don't think that's true. I think the LaserDisc laser does CD, and the DVD laser only does DVD. I don't know why that is. I read that somewhere about these dual combo players, and I'm not sure. I have not really tested that to see if that's the case, but as far as I know, that's the way it is. I don't know why they would make that choice. I would think that the laser for the DVD would be a little bit better in terms of data and stuff like that for CDs over LaserDisc. I'm not sure. But let's go around the other side here. I'm going to be doing a test disc with Terminator here. And then I'm going to go around the back here and just give an overview on the back really quickly. This unit was made in 1998. And we have all kinds of little things here. We have composite video. Of course, that's what LaserDisc is. We also have internal circuitry for video separation to go into S-video. We have the analog audio outs here. We have a control in and out. I think that has something to do with triggers to other components. When you turn them on, it turns this on, I think. I'm not sure. But we have regular PCM, which would be for LaserDisc. You could do LaserDisc and DVD here for PCM. So you can it'll transfer the Dolby Digital signal from DVDs, and for LaserDisc it's PCM digital to channel. And then we also have the same thing for optical. Also, we have a AC3 digital RF port that will need and require a separate demodulator unit to go with it that'll take that RF signal, AC3 RF signal, demodulate it into Dolby Digital 5.1 surround. The benefit of this here is that in doing that, the mixes at the time were more closer, or not only closer, but sometimes even just a match for the actual theatrical mix of that movie at the time. So that's very, very important. I'm going to be getting that at some point. I just don't know when. Those demodulators are almost as expensive, if not a little bit more expensive, than the player itself. So I am going to use it eventually, but not anytime soon. With the digital, two-channel digital from PCM, the AVR is doing a great job of applying either. You could do, on the Sony, you could do a front surround mode, you can do the Dolby surround upmixer, or the DTS Neural X upmixer, and it does fairly well. They're both flawed in their own independent ways, but I've not had any major issues or major sound mistakes or anything like that. The only thing I can think of is that what I've noticed with the Dolby surround upmixer is that the center channel can sometimes be a little bit underwhelming, but other than that, most of the time it's really, really good. And And you can do the multi-channel stereo out, and it's really loud and thumpy. So depending on, you know, what movie you're watching at the time, you know, you can choose, you know, independently what kind of upmixing or what kind of audio processing you want with that 2-channel digital PCM. So I'm using the optical port in the main setup here. So, and then of course you have the power in. I'm going to be upgrading this cable eventually somewhere down the line to something a little bit more beefy and a little bit more shielded, and just making sure that there's no interference coming into the electrical components in this player. I've always been a proponent for that. Some people think that's nonsense, but you know, I have used aftermarket power cables on lots of different home theater equipment and everything like that. And I just look at it as just a little bit of extra insurance on top of using power conditioners and things like that to make sure that I'm getting clean power, the proper voltages, and so that the components inside those electrical, you know, equipment, that they last longer, and that there's not any pre-damage to them by not having clean power or not having things protected. And the fact that you know, when we're talking about, you know, old electrical equipment like LaserDisc, or even an older, you know, first generation DVD player, even Blu-ray player at this point, or old stereo equipment, the capacitors and stuff in there are already old, you know, and it really just depends on the mileage on the unit. Luckily, this unit, I think, has minimal mileage for as old as it is. So, you know, I've not noticed anything wonky that would make me think that there's a bad capacitor anywhere or anything like that. Now, on my CLD 980, I definitely think that there is some weak or failing capacitors on the power supply board, and I will be looking into getting that desoldered, taken out, and getting new caps in that in the future. But it does still work. It works fairly well. It's clean, it's lubed, it's got new belts, and other than being a little bit more picky in terms of disc quality, I can still use it. But what I noticed about this thing, which is really, really cool about the DVL-909, is that discs that I was having an issue with on my CLD 980, that was giving me skipping issues and dropping out here and there. Those movies that I've watched on the DVL-909, I have not had that issue. So it's got excellent tracking, it's got excellent processing, and I am just ecstatic to have this caliber of a player that I can use in this hobby that I've picked up, and it's just been outstanding. So with that being said, I'm going to pop the top off here. We'll go over some of the stuff inside so you can see some of the operation, and we'll get going on that. So it's very simple. There's about, there's probably about six, maybe 7 screws in total, and it's really simple to take this off. Just a simple screwdriver is going to do the trick. Nothing crazy or any special kind of tools. Just really, really simple. Really simple to take this off and get going. And let's see here. I believe it's a couple here on the side. Sorry if this is a little bit boring, guys, but it's just part of it. I could have already had this taken off, but I kind of wanted to show you just what kind of time it's going to take it off. It does not take that much time in the grand scheme of things, so we're doing good. And should be one more, and that should be it. I'm going to set these aside so we don't lose them. Okie dokie. And then to take it off, it's really simple. You just kind of go off to the sides here. And I might have missed one. Did I miss one? No, yeah, I did. I missed one. My bad. My bad. We'll get it here. Really, really quickly. There we go. And it's really simple. Just kind of lift up the side, tilt up, pull back, And there you go. Simple, simple, simple. Now let me give you an overview of inside of here. And you can see the spindle mechanism here, the tray. I believe this here is the soundboard, I think. And it connects to a lot of these little external soundboard things here, lots of different processing. So we have stuff coming in, getting processed, coming out to the audio portion here, and also down there for the audio out. On the side here, we have the video board, and then we have the main board down there at the very, very bottom. So one of these boards, it might be this one. This one, it might actually be for DVD, I think, maybe. But there's a couple of boards in between there. One is for component video, one is for audio. This is your main video board for LASERDISC. This might be the either the sound. Yeah, the ribbon cables are all clean. It's super, super clean in here, especially after I've gone through and I've really done a bit of cleaning and re-lubed a lot of things here. So this might be the video processing for the DVD outlet, okay? And then we have the mechanism here that has DVD. I think this is the DVD laser here on top. The LASERDISC is down here at the bottom because that's what I've been using mostly. And when that goes in, it flips around and then it'll come up here on top. And then over here we have the power supply board. So if I have any issues with this at all in the future, more than likely, especially with most of the LASERDISCs, it's going to be an issue with your power board. More often than not. If you get your power board going, it's really easy to diagnose things from there. But between a power board and just having a general clean and changing your belt, you'd be surprised what that will do for most players. Other than some other issues that may be related to the actual laser frequencies and all that. And to adjust that and calibrate that, you're going to need an oscilloscope. You're going to need a Pioneer test disc and service remotes and all those things. And there's actually a method that you go through to actually probe certain areas of the board in order to run these tests, and it's way over my head. So luckily that's not an issue with this player, or really, well, maybe the 980. It probably could use a good calibration on that laser, but other than that, I've not had any issues out of here. So actually, to change this out, really, it's really simple. I'll try to do this the best I can, but really all we have to do is just change a couple of things here, just take a couple of things off. But I kind of want to go over some operation here so you can see. Let me move this down here so we can get a better view. So I'm going to open this up so you can see this operation here. You see that flip over, and we got the LASERDISC laser. Or I think it starts off with the DVD laser. It defaults to DVD laser. Then when you put the disc in, it says, "Oh, this isn't a DVD." Then it should flip over and send the LASERDISC laser over. So you see how that goes in and out. So mechanical wise, the existing original belt is working. This is a preventative maintenance because there is a little bit of warpage, and I'll show you that. So it's recognized that there's a LASERDISC player in there, or LASERDISC in there. And then when you go to play it, see it start to spin up. Nice. And once you start getting to playing in the movie and you got the sound and you got the lid on and all that, you don't really hear anything over here until it flips over. You'll hear the mechanism, but there's no grinding or no whine or no electrical hiss or anything like that. It's very, very smooth. And as you can see here, like on some of this, you can see where I've gone in and I've lubed areas up, especially like in here. And there's rails on the top and bottom here. You can kind of see a rail in here that's been cleaned and lubed. There's one on the bottom as well. There's a transitional piece here that I've really got lubed up as well. And the tray itself, I've taken apart and cleaned and re-lubed all that. So in and out is very clean. All the gears and stuff are very clean in there now. And not that they were bad. They weren't bad. For as old as it is, it wasn't bad at all. So I'm going to stop this. And I'm going to take it out. take the disc out here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to feel the power on it so we can start taking this out. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take the lid out, take the tray out. And if you look down in here, you'll see little tabs. There's one here, and there's one over here on the under this little metal piece here. And what you do is you move those in, and then it should slide right out. So I'm going to try to demonstrate that now as easy as I can here. It's going to be kind of hard to be able to show you everything, but there's a couple little tabs, and all you do is move them past that tab, pull it out like that, and no problem. Now, I've taken the liberty beforehand of, you can kind of see some of that lube shine in there. I took all these off, cleaned all the old stuff off, put new stuff on, so when it slides in and out, it is very, very smooth, no issues, no hang-ups, no jams, nothing. So it's very, very smooth. All right. Now, coming into here, we can see some of the mechanism here. I'll come in here so you can see. And you'll see this right in here. That is the belt that we're going to be changing out. But you can also see that I've cleaned and put new lube on all the little gears and stuff in here. So what I'm going to do here, let's see, I'm going to try to move you here so we can see a little closer here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take this off so I can show you more of the inside here. Now, if I'm just doing this on my own to change the belt, I don't need to do that. But I want to go ahead and show you as much of this as I can. As much as I can. This is all very, very simple to do. It looks a lot more intimidating than what it really is. And believe me, when I first got into this and I saw players like this, I was like, well, yo, no way am I going to be able to even begin to understand what is going on here. But with a little bit of research and watching videos, I've been able to pick it up fairly easy. This just comes off. And I was able to take this whole mechanism here off and clean and re-lube all this stuff in here. So when this thing spins, it's got fresh grease in there. There's not going to be any winding or jams or binding at all. So this spins just as freely in here as it needs to. All right, here we go. Now you can start to see some of the inner workings here of how the laser is going to come up and read the disc. You can kind of see in here what's going on. You got a lot of gears in here. This whole thing is one big mechanism that lifts up the disc and pulls it in and pulls it out and all this other stuff. So making sure that all these little sliders and stuff have plenty of lube and grease, everything's cleaned up and moving freely the way that it should, that's a good thing. So I might have been a little bit too generous, but I'd rather have too much, a little bit too much than too little. And this is kind of the way I looked at it. So I even took this back plate off here, off the back, and cleaned around the actual mechanism and put new grease and stuff around some of those sliding parts in there so that when this thing turns back and forth to switch the laser pickups out, that it's doing so as lubed and smoothly as possible. And you can kind of see everything here. Pretty neat, huh? All right, so to do this is very, very simple. I'm going to move this guy around and we're going to try to get this set up as well as I can so you guys can hopefully see this. It's going to be a little bit challenging here, but I'm going to try to make it work. Try to make it work as much as I can. Okay? So here's the belt that we're going to be changing out here. Let me go ahead and take that off and I'll show you what that belt looks like. Now, some people use like a little hook, something like that. Really, really simple. But you can see that there's a little bit of misshape there. It's not bad. Now I did clean this and treat it pretty good. It's in overall good condition, and I can continue to use this without any problems. I'm going to save this as a third, backup, just in case, or maybe I might be able to use it on something else in the future. You just don't know. But let's get out the new one here from Laser Parts. And we'll compare the two, assuming that I have the right order here. And this is actually going to be a little bit smaller than here, but that's also a good thing. It's also a good thing that it's smaller. It's the same thickness I don't want to say diameter, but the same thickness. This one's a little bit bigger. This one's a little bit smaller, and this is going to give me some extra pull on that. So that's what we're going to be trying to get done there. And all I'm going to do is start on one end and work my way down. I'm just going to make sure. Now the little track in these things, I've already cleaned. All right, so we got that installed here. Let me just kind of make sure that we are as flat as we can. We don't want it twisting up too much. So I'm just making sure that everything is seated smoothly here so that everything is nice and tight. And I don't see any binding or anything like that. I'm just checking to make sure that everything is seated the way that it needs to be to make sure. So I think we're good there. And that's about as simple as you can get, guys. There's the new belt installed. Here's the old one. And we're going to save that, set that aside. And then now it's just a more or less a simple thing of putting it all back together, and then we'll try it out. Now luckily everything, I'm just going to do a little quick once over here to see if I missed any areas. I did get in here as well. You can see that moving there. I did get in there and apply some grease and stuff in there. At the base of it, down here at the bottom, you can see where it attaches down there at the very, very bottom. I did apply some precision oil down in there too, so that we're just trying to maintain this spindle here. And then in terms of the actual little pickup ring here that grasp onto the bottom of the disc to spin it, I did clean that really, really generously with some alcohol, and I don't see any damage or anything like that. It doesn't seem to be slipping with discs, so I'm going to leave it and not replace it at this time. But you can buy one of these from Laser Parts to change out, but that's something I don't need to do right now as far as I'm concerned. Let me give you a little overview of the power board here. And this is just, you know, when I open these things up, I do kind of check over the power board here, and I'll check the fuse and just sort of look at the capacitors, see if any of them are bulging or leaking, see if I see any residual, you know, capacitor fluid anywhere that would suggest that there'd be something, you know, faulty here on the main power board. But you can disconnect all this stuff, take the whole board out, and you can have all the caps replaced and all that stuff, and you know, keep this thing running with good power for a long time. You'll also notice in some areas here, you see these little pots down there. Those are those are the pots that you would use to adjust the laser and all that stuff. There's some even there on the video board. You'll see one right back in there. That there's some of these adjustable pots that you can use for your video, your laser, and all the different little things here on there as well. So, you know, it looks more intimidating than what it really is. A lot of it you shouldn't really have to mess with. These are pretty solid the way that they are. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and start putting this back together and make sure that we're ready to go. And now when I put this thing down here, you can see there's a couple of little catches here. And this just helps you make sure that you got it in the right place, and you want to make sure that your spindle part here is facing this way, okay? And all I got to do is put in the screws, and we're good to go. Now just making sure that they're nice and tight, but I'm not trying to like overdo it. So I'm just trying to make sure that they're nice and snug, nice and secure. We don't want that disc slipping or breaking free somehow, some way. We don't want that. We don't want to cause any damage internally by not having our nuts and our bolts all in the right place. So that's what we're doing here. And I'm just kind of doing a zigzag pattern here. I don't think it really matters A lot of people that I've seen that's on YouTube that do some refurbishings and things like that, they use a little small power drill. Okay, good. Now, here's a part that can get people tripped up, and that is actually putting the lid or the tray back in. And that just takes a little bit of trial and error, because if you don't have it just perfect, you'll run into some issues. So let me see if I can readjust this so that you can kind of see what's going on here. See if I can readjust this here. So what we're going to do is try to put the lid back, or the tray back in here. I'm saying lid, I mean tray. But there's a couple little tracks here, and I just try to go real slow. Just take my time and just try to push it in as evenly as I possibly can. And it just takes a little bit of finagling here, just to make sure. And this is the part that's kind of a little bit aggravating, but it's not too bad. You just kind of have to keep playing with it until you get it. You may even have to just keep playing with it. Just a little bit. There we go. We're good down here. Boom. And then I'm going to go real easy. If there's any issues with it, it won't let us close it all the way. So we're going nice and slow. Nice and slow. And we were able to get it there first try. Good, good, good. Now what I'm going to do is go ahead and put the lid back on. Well, you know what? I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll go ahead and we'll try it, see if there's anything wrong with it first. So before we do that, so we'll plug the power back in. Give us some power here. Oops. We have right on. No, take it deal. There we go. Okay. And turn that on. It's going to close up. So we got a brand new belt installed. We're going to see how this operates. Let's see if we got it nice and smooth here. And let me tilt you down a little bit here so you can see. And I'm going to try it out with a disc here. Make sure we got it all. Go ahead and open this guy up. There it goes. And close that up. And see how we're operating here. And give it a play. Pardon me. And it is starting to play the disc. That's a good thing. We're able to get mechanical opening and shutting, and then also raising up the disc so that it can be played. So once that belt kind of breaks in a little bit, gets nice and seated and all that stuff, should be fine. Shouldn't have to replace anything else inside of it because everything is clean. Everything is oiled that needs to be oiled. Everything's re-greased. And I should have pretty much simple operation. Really shouldn't have to crack it open again after this point for a long while, other than just to kind of do a visual inspection here and there. If you want to do those types of things, you can. I would actually suggest that, just being older technology and technology, older electronic equipment that is, got a lot of age on it, is, maybe every once in a while crack it open and just kind of check things out, make sure the capacitors aren't leaking and are bulging or anything like that. So maybe like once every 6 months or so, you may want to crack it open and take a look, see if you got any issues going on in there. Just do a visual inspection of everything. So that's great. And this has been an absolute great player so far. I've really, really enjoyed it. Again, I have more LaserDisc movies coming in. And I'm also going to be looking at some alternative ways that I can maybe hook it up downstairs and kind of rethink my my home theater downstairs. And I might be utilizing this full time down there as opposed to having it upstairs in the living room. It's kind of hard because I like having it up here on the OLED, but I also want to be able to have it in a more traditional theater setting as well. So I'm a little bit on the fence. I don't quite know what I want to do there, but it all just depends. I'm going to be doing some experimentation with some other equipment and seeing how we can get that realized into a practical, pleasing, aesthetically pleasing downstairs setup where everything is there, everything is available, and then I'm going to be getting good quality, not only visually, but also on the audio side as well, to be able to enjoy these tracks on LaserDisc that are, quite frankly, it probably is about as close to the theatrical sound mixes that you'll get on these movies nowadays. A lot of times, you understand, a lot of these movies, especially the popular ones, like Terminator, Terminator 2, and things like that, is that those original theatrical mixes, those original theatrical cuts of those movies are, in most cases, they're long gone. They're long gone, and those mixes and those cuts are gone forever, and the studios aren't going backwards. They're trying to go forwards, and sometimes going forwards is not necessarily the right thing to do. They take out little things here, they take out little things there. Sometimes they think they're doing something technologically more advanced to make it sound better. I would disagree with that. And then other times they take things out of movies to be more politically correct today. And I don't think that's great. I don't think you should censor any artistic material, whether it's, cinema and film, or music, paintings, photographs. It's a way we learn about our culture, to learn where we came from and where we're going and how we grow as a society. Censoring little things out of movies, like even in the Disney side of things, I think it's just nonsense. And apologizing, oh, sorry, we might offend somebody with Aladdin. It's like, it's a cartoon, dude, Just show it for what it is, appreciate the artwork for what it is, and move on, right? And that's why, it's one of the reasons why I'm going backwards with my media, my physical media, instead of switching over full-time to digital. Now, I don't have anything wrong with digital purchases and streaming. I do have a small collection of movies that I've bought digitally. Most of them are new movies. Some of them are old, but some of them are just movies that I'm not interested really, or I may only watch them once every so often, and they're not something I want to make room for on the shelf. So I will use it for a convenience factor. But in the long run, with digital and streaming, my thought process on that, and them actually pushing that and saying we're not going to sell DVDs anymore or Blu-rays anymore at Best Buy or these other locations, is that when you buy something digitally or you're streaming something on a service, you don't actually own it. You have a licensing agreement to exhibit that material in your home, but you don't own a copy. And one thing about LaserDisc that I find fascinating is that during its heyday, and the real purpose behind it was for film and movie buffs who wanted high quality theatrical experiences at home. If you were a movie guy and you were into that, chances are you had a LaserDisc player. You wanted that quality and picture and sound over VHS, right? VHS is a lot cheaper, more convenient because you can record, but LaserDisc was for film enthusiasts, and that's sort of what I am. So that's why I want to go backwards, to preserve these cuts, make sure that I own a copy of some of these movies and in their original forms on these older formats. And hey, you can just about get anything you want on DVD nowadays. Entire seasons and series and everything else, the TV shows and whatever. You can own them, have them in your possession, and nobody can ever take those away. And again, there might be some episodes, certain series. I was talking to a friend of mine at work, and he was a big fan of The Office. And apparently on the streaming services that you can watch The Office on now, there's a couple or one or two episodes that are not available or that they've taken out, but they are available on the DVD sets. And that's that's what you're dealing with. You don't even know what you're missing. So I'm a big proponent in physical media, and I'm not really that impressed with 4K disc or Blu-rays at this point. So I'm a big proponent in DVDs and LaserDisc and VHS. If you got a CRT, you can get a VHS player. You'll be prime and ready to go, right in Nostalgiaville. But here we are with the Pioneer DVL-909. Everything is cleaned, everything is lubed and oiled that needs to be, and we've replaced that loading belt with a brand new belt. We have a spare coming on the way, and we have the original belt as well that's still in usable condition. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to hop off here. You guys enjoy your weekend, and keep your eyes peeled because we are going to be doing some fun movie reviews and some experimentation with home theater options in my particular setup with this amazing LaserDisc and DVD player. Thank you for your time. God bless, be safe, and we'll catch you next time.